Arsenal bounced back from their defeat against Manchester United in emphatic fashion, dismantling Leeds United 4-0 at Elland Road. The win brought an end to Mikel Arteta's three-game winless run in the Premier League and sent a clear message of intent. Let's break down the tactical analysis of the match. Arteta set Arsenal up in a 4-2-3-1, but there were notable selection surprises. Martin Odegaard and Eberechi Eze started on the bench, while Kai Havertz was handed his first Premier League start of the season, operating as the central attacking midfielder. Leeds United, under Daniel Farke, lined up in a 3-4-3, looking to stay compact without the ball and attack quickly through wide transitions. When Leeds had possession, Daniel Farke encouraged his team to start from the back with the back three. The wing-backs, Jayden Bogle and Gabriel Goodmanson, dropped deep to create a temporary back five with James Justin, Joe Rodon, and Pascal Struijk. While they dropped deep, both wing-backs remained very wide to act as obvious outlets whenever Arsenal tried to overload the center or make aggressive movements towards the center-backs. This width was crucial to Leeds' build-up play. In midfield, Ethan Ampadu dropped deeper to the level of the defensive line to receive the ball and help with ball progression in the first phase. The strategy was to stretch Arsenal's press horizontally with the wing-backs to create areas in the half spaces and central channels. If Arsenal packed their press and defended the center, Leeds would distribute the ball wide. If Arsenal pressed high to press the wings, they would create areas inside to progress the ball forward. To deal with this, Arsenal employed a very aggressive and man-oriented press. Victor Gyökeres led the press by jumping on the center-back in possession, making it difficult for Leeds to establish their build-up play. Leandro Trossard marked Jayden Bogle, but waited until the pass was made to press the receiver, as he knew that if he pressed too early, he would create a channel for the ball to be played through. Leandro Trossard's idea was to press the receiver after the pass had been made, as he knew that if he pressed too early, Leeds would create line-breaking passes to find their forwards. Kai Havertz was tasked with tightly marking Ethan Ampadu, making sure that he did not have time or space to turn and play the ball forward. Noni Madueke was tasked with shadowing Gabriel Goodmanson, while also applying pressure on Pascal Struijk, and Declan Rice stepped high to mark Ilya Gruev. The strength and organization of Arsenal's press was the decisive factor. Leeds were unable to complete more than a few forward passes before losing possession, which forced them to give up on their build-up play and resort to long balls. They tried to pick out Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Anton Stock, and Brendan Aronson directly, but Arsenal's defense had a clear height and physicality advantage, making it easy for them to defend these passes comfortably or intercept them. When Leeds were able to beat the press, Arsenal immediately switched to a compact 4-4-2 mid to low block, at times approaching a 4-2-4 formation depending on the width of the team's players. During this phase, Arsenal were less committed to pressing and more concerned with space control, allowing Leeds to circulate the ball among their back four, but not allowing them to reach the midfield or the front third. Leeds were essentially left with no choice but to maintain possession, and whenever they tried to force a forward pass, it was intercepted or went out of play for a throw-in. This defensive dominance limited Leeds to only 3 shots, only one of which was on target, and an expected goals tally of 0.15, which clearly shows how thoroughly Arsenal dominated the match on defense. When in possession, Arsenal built up using a back three. William Saliba and Gabriel split wide, while David Raya stepped forward to operate as the central center-back, creating a 3-man first line. Raya's movement was crucial because it freed both fullbacks, Jurrien Timber and Piero Hincapié, to move higher into midfield. This allowed Arsenal to form a midfield four alongside Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi, while Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz, and Noni Madueke positioned themselves between the lines just behind the striker, Victor Gyökeres. By involving Raya in the initial build-up, Arsenal consistently created numerical superiority against Leeds' press. Arteta anticipated a man-to-man approach, so Arsenal effectively had 11 players involved in build-up against Leeds' 10, ensuring there was always a spare man available to receive and progress the ball. Leeds attempted to counter this structure with a high, man-oriented press while keeping a back four to deal with Arsenal's forwards. Dominic Calvert-Lewin stepped out to press Gabriel, Brendan Aronson moved on to Saliba, and Anton Stock dropped into midfield to engage Declan Rice, with Ilya Gruev pressing Zubamendi. When the ball was played to Arsenal's left side, Jayden Bogle left the defensive line to press Piero Hincapié, while on the right, Gabriel Goodmanson stepped out to engage Timber. This rotation was necessary because if both wingbacks pushed high at the same time, Leeds' backline would be left exposed and easily outnumbered by Arsenal's forwards with one well-timed pass. Despite this adjustment, Leeds' man-to-man press proved largely ineffective. Arsenal repeatedly found ways to manipulate and bypass it, either through quick circulation or by using the spare man created by Raya's advanced positioning. Once Arsenal broke through the press, Leeds retreated into a compact 5-4-1 defensive shape, focusing on blocking central spaces while maintaining width across the back line. Against this structure, Arsenal became more creative in their movement. Players made deliberate runs into central areas not to receive on the turn, but to draw Leeds out of their shape and create space elsewhere. Zubamendi was particularly active in making these decoy movements, receiving under pressure and setting the ball back to trigger rotations and free teammates between the lines. When central space remained closed, Arsenal shifted their focus to wide attacks. On the right, Timber combined aggressively with Madueke, making overlapping and underlapping runs to create overloads and destabilize Leeds' left side. On the left, Hincapié mirrored this approach with Trossard. As these wide combinations developed, Arsenal flooded the penalty area with runners, attacking cutbacks and crosses with multiple bodies arriving in the box.
Overall, this match was a clear example of how tactical clarity and structural discipline can completely dominate an opponent. Arsenal's use of a flexible back three in possession, with David Raya stepping into midfield, allowed them to consistently create numerical superiority and control every phase of the game. Leeds' man-oriented press, while brave in theory, was systematically manipulated through Arsenal's rotations, patience in circulation, and intelligent use of the spare man. Without the ball, Arsenal's aggressive pressing prevented Leeds from building any sustained rhythm, forcing them into long passes and low-quality attacking situations. When Leeds did manage to drop into a defensive block, Arsenal showed maturity and composure, using decoy movements, wide overloads, and well-timed runs into the box, rather than forcing play centrally. The end result was a performance defined by control rather than chaos. Arsenal limited Leeds to minimal chances, dictated where and how the game was played, and translated their tactical superiority into a convincing 4-0 victory. For Arteta, this was not just a response to the defeat against Manchester United, but a statement performance that highlighted the adaptability, structure, and evolution of his side. That's it for today's tactical breakdown. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how Arsenal dismantled Leeds, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more in-depth football analysis, and drop your thoughts in the comments.